What's up, nerds? This is Mr. Storm, and boy, am I excited for this one. In this assignment, we're going to talk about blocks and classes, block level elements and class elements that we can use to organize our information. If we take a look at our web page right now, we can see things are just kind of gross, right? We have, it's just not very nice looking. It's just kind of scrolling down this page, and there's a lot better ways we can use the space on the screen. So we're going to start looking at how to do that. So let's take a look at block and inline elements and figure out what is the difference between a block level element and an inline element. Well, a block level element usually starts on a new line, and it takes up the full width available. So it stretches out to the left and right as far as it can, takes out the full width available of the screen, right? So there are a lot of block level elements. You have divs, H1s, or all your headers, your paragraphs, your forms. These take up the entire width of the screen. Inline elements, on the other hand, usually only take up as much space as they need. So spans, anchor elements, images, some of those text decoration elements that we used earlier in the year, those only take up as much space as they need. And so this is going to this is where we get into a new element that is fantastic. I love it so much. It's called a div element. So a div is usually used as a container for other HTML elements. Div, there are no required attributes. You can't, you just create a div and put stuff inside of it. And all that does is it acts like a box that holds other elements on your page, and you can treat everything inside that box the same way. And it will apply to that whole box. It's pretty fantastic. I like it. The span element will allow you to apply, it's kind of like a div, but for text. So inside of text. So let's say you have an H1 and you want to make, it's called, and inside the H1 is my important heading, and you want to make this word important. You want to make that red, and the rest of it's going to be black. You can use a span element to apply that style to only that word, right? So span is for inline elements. Block or div is for block level elements. Okay. Perfect. Now let's talk about classes, because classes are really where we utilize divs very, very well. So class attributes are it's a CSS property, right? So a class is CSS. And what it does is it basically blocks a bunch of CSS code together in a class, and you can name that class whatever you want. And then you can apply that class to a specific div or element or whatever, and everything inside, all the styling elements of that class will then be applied to that element. It sounds confusing. I get it. Let's check it out how it works, right? So this class has the attributes of a black background color, white text, margins, and some padding. Now, notice that it's being applied to these three divs. You have a div that has this information in it, and it's been applied to this class, right? Or cities has been applied to that div. So this div right here, this box, has a background, changes the color of the text, adds some padding and margin and all that stuff. And they've applied this same class to all three divs, but because they're in divs, they're separated. We have these three box-looking things, these three boxes with separate information in them. That's how divs and classes are really powerful. Okay. You can use a class on an inline element as well. That's totally fine. Go ahead and make sure you go through these exercises, but I'm going to jump right into the assignment. So what the assignment wants us to do is create a new div element and place our main story H2 and paragraph inside of that div element. Then we're going to create a new class and apply it to the div so that we can change those two elements at the same time. And then we want to modify the background color, text color, and font of the elements inside our div using our new class. Okay, so let's do that. Let's check it out. So the first thing it wants me to do is create a new div. Easy, done. What next? Just kidding. I created the open element, the open tag. Now I need to put the end tag at the end of my paragraph, right? Because my paragraph is my H2 and my paragraph elements are what's inside my div. Now usually when I do something like this, when I wrap something inside of a div, what I'll do is I will tab it in so that it's easier to see that it's all inside that div. Okay. Then I want to create a new class. Classes are really easy to do. All you have to do is put a period and then the name of the class. I'm going to call mine div style. And I'm going to change the background color. And I'm going to make it, I'll make it white. Why not? The text color. And I will make it forest green because I'm crazy. And what else? What else did it want us to change? The font. And I will change the font to Courier to kind of match my H1. All right. Now I've created the class, but I haven't applied that class to anything yet. So nothing's going to change until I apply it to my div. So in here, I just type class equals div style. And so now I can save it. And hit apply. And so as you can see, oh, I wrapped my image in there as well. I wasn't supposed to. Let's go back in there and fix it. So let's take this image and we will actually just Control X to cut it out. And then we will go over here and we'll put it underneath the div so it's outside of the div. Okay, good, good, good. Now when we go back and we refresh, this image should actually should be pushed below my div. And it is. So now I have my div and there's styles being applied to the div. The text change or the font changed. The font color didn't change though because I probably used a wrong color name. Let's change the font color to, let's just do regular green. It's going to look really gross, but whatever. We can fix it later. Just to make sure that it's actually working. And it is. Look at that. Oh, that is gross. Okay, good. You know, the funny thing is I really don't even like green, so I'm probably going to go back and change all the colors on this page. All right, now, one thing you can notice is, first of all, my text is butting right up against the edge of this div, and that's gross and I don't like it. Also, my div is spanning all the way across my page because it is a block level element. So it's going to go all the way to the end of the page. What I can do though, let's go ahead and let's make some changes. Let's do some fun things. Because I have it applied as a style, I can just go in and make changes in the style here. So let's do padding. We'll make it 25 pixels. And I want the width to be, let's do 80% of the page. Margin auto. You're not going to know what that margin auto thing is yet, but it actually is one of my favorite things. Let's go ahead and, all right. So what I've just done is I've added some padding so that my text isn't all the way up against the edge. I've shrunk the div so it's only 80% of the screen size. And I've added margin auto, which means my margins on both sides are automatically formatted so that it keeps my div in the center of my page. And now I can do cool things like this. I can take my my browser. Oh, come on. Where's my end? Wait, I'll do it on this side. I can resize my browser, and my div resizes as I move my browser around, as I resize my browser. That's pretty great. We'll talk way more about that stuff in the next term. But for right now, put all your stuff, or put these two elements in a div. Change the format of that div, change the color, change the background, blah, 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 and then you're good to go. Make sure you remember to rezip. Make sure you remember to do what I didn't do, which is save this as about me 9. And then make sure you rezip this folder. Let's go back. Make sure you rezip this folder and turn in the zipped folder. And then when you're done, you're good to move on to the next thing. Thank you very much for paying attention, and goodbye.